Askreddit. Teachers of Reddit, what the worst thing that happened on a school trip? I remember back in high school my friend got caught jacking off in the furthest backseat on the bus by his mother, who was a teacher and chaperone for the field trip. Kids were going to a conference for a leadership service oriented club. They got brought home early because a chaperone found an orgy in one of the rooms that had been pre-planned in a group chat that almost all of the kids on the trip were in. That was a shitstorm. Ask my students to be respectful of other pedestrians while on the trip, because some people want to enjoy the nature center by themselves. One kid saw a woman with her service dog and tried to pull on it because mommy would let me have it. We had to leave because of that, and he ruined the entire trip for everyone. Kids were going to a conference for a leadership service oriented club. They got brought home early because a chaperone found an orgy in one of the rooms that had been pre-planned in a group chat that almost all of the kids on the trip were in. That was a shitstorm. Most ended up at a Hooters. Someone was supposed to get a birthday lap dance, and the ones who weren't feeling that disappeared and were later found eating dinner at a bar. Mind, none of these kids were even 18. I'm pretty sure they didn't have any supervision that night at the hotel either. The next day the principal found out what happened and came up to chaperone the kids and keep the other chaperone in line. The hotel was a cool 8-10 blocks away from the conference, another stroke of poor planning, and this all happened during the coldest, windiest weekend of the year, and everyone ended up having to walk back and forth a bunch of times each day wearing nice, not so warm clothes. So now there's a rule that students have to stay in the same hotel that's hosting an out-of-town conference, and have to stay inside the building unless accompanied by a chaperone. Former assistant teacher here. We were on a 6th grade field trip to the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. Cool place. So at the time one of the attractions was a sort of centripetal force machine that you can sit in and get swung around. Poor explanation, but imagine the Gravitron only smaller and faster with seats and no walls. I googled it but can't find the ride, guessing it was swapped out for something else. Well, one dumbass kid thought it'd be funny to show off and see what happens when you undo your seatbelt while riding. Naturally, he got flung out of the machine at roughly half the speed of sound and broke his fall with nothing but his face. Glasses busted, massive concussion, totally wrecked. There was a whole investigation and the teacher in charge of that kid's group had to actually defend himself from accusations that he could have somehow stopped that level of stupidity. Sadly I didn't witness it but did hear the impact from one room over. Pretty interesting day. We went skating, and one of the students fell, smacked her chin off the ice, and somehow got a skate blade to the face. She needed a bunch of stitches, and was able to stick her tongue through the hole in her face. My boyfriend was a teacher and his students went on the annual DC trip. It was like 2 kids to each hotel room or something, and there was 2 14-year-old boys that shared a room. One of the boys jacked off into a pillow, and then hit the other kid in the face with the cum pillow. I took 3 classes of 6th graders, age 11-12, to visit the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. We'd come from about an hour and a half away, the kids and other teachers on buses, but since I was hugely pregnant I was allowed to drive my own car. It had been raining, but I arrived a bit ahead of the bus, so when the kids got off I was there to lead them to the museum. As I began walking towards the kids getting off the buses I noticed a lot of papers on the sidewalk, and suddenly realized that there were an assortment of extremely pornographic pictures. I stopped to try to gather them up before the kids got an unexpected and completely inappropriate sex ed lesson. We'd already had a big talk about being mature when viewing classical art, for example nude statues, OMG, but we were not prepared for the most lurid porn LA had to offer. Unfortunately the rain had plastered the papers to the sidewalk, and the sight of the very pregnant teacher scrambling on hands and knees on wheelchair BLVD sent the chaperones and teachers rushing to my aid, with 100 kids right after them, no matter how urgently I tried to wave them back. It was memorable. I went on a class trip as chaperone to a science center. I was in charge of a group of 8 boys. One of them goes missing. I ask the others where he went, and they don't know either. He's missing for about 10 minutes until a security guard from the center comes up to me with him. The guy asks, is he one of yours, and tells this kid to open his backpack when I say yes. Probably $200 worth of stolen stuff in there. He spent the rest of the trip right next to me. Group trip to take a tour of a college campus. We had a young man jump out of a bus window while it was going down the highway. His long-term girlfriend had broken up with him a few days before, and he later explained that he didn't see the point of going on the college visit anymore because he didn't want to go to the same college as her, or even apply to the same ones. Denied up and down that it was a suicide attempt. His friends circled the wagons and supported his story, and the story rumors died quickly. He got some gnarly road rash, but avoided being hit by any cars. I always got the impression that it was, in fact, a suicide attempt. If he didn't want to go on the tour, why go at all? Why board the bus? He could have stayed at school. This was several years ago. He is fine. It happened right before we would enter the bus. My students had been waiting for a few minutes and some guys were messing around. I warned them to act normal but left them out of my sight for 1 minute to grab something from my postbox. In that time they pressed the fire alarm. The whole school, 1,650 students, had to be evacuated to the car park where the bus also waited. It was not my favorite morning. A girl on a beta club trip thought it would be funny to put bomb on board in the window of the bus. The interstate was shut down. The bus was pulled over and SWAT team raided the bus. The bomb squad was called in to sweep the bus even though the girl admitted it was a hoax. She didn't go to jail somehow. She was also a popular cheerleader and didn't get any disciplinary action from the school. Why hello there. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more weekly videos. See you next time.